I was living in the house of Barbillas for a long time. One day I hurried to the city with a slave because I was wanting to visit Clemens. He was possessing a tavern near the port of Alexandria. The slave who was leading me was an Egyptian boy. In the city there was a huge crowd which was filling the street. The merchants were walking through the street and were doing business among themselves. The women and slave girls were crowding the shops. Many slaves were running down the streets of the city. It was difficult for us to walk through the city streets because the crowd was very big. At last we arrived at Alexandria's harbor. Very many Egyptians were present and we could see no Greeks. The boy, after he noticed us, anxiously said, "It would be better for us to return to Barbillas' house." We cannot go to Clemens' shop. The streets are dangerous because the Egyptians are angry. All the Greeks have run away from this part of the city. "No," I replied to the boy. "Although the Egyptians are angry, we will not return back to the house. It would be a long journey." We nearly arrived to the shop. "It is necessary for us to advance." And so we hurried to the tavern of Clemens. But there were very many Egyptians blocking our way. In the crowd of Egyptians there was an old man who was cursing the Romans and the Greeks. All of them intently heard. When I saw this, I was worried. An Egyptian boy who noticed my anxiety led me to the closest small house. "Master, this is where a craftsman lives in this small house, who knows Barbillas well. It is necessary for us to avoid danger in the small house." By chance, the craftsman watched through the window of the small house, who recognized me and who gladly accepted us into the small house. After we entered the house, I whispered, "Who is this craftsman?" "It is Diogenes, a Greek craftsman," responds the boy. When I heard this, I was more afraid, for I was in the house of a Greek man. Outside the door, the Egyptians were cursing the Greeks. Suddenly the slave yelled, "Oh dear, the hostile Egyptians are attacking the small house." Diogenes hurried to the cupboard at once. In the cupboard there were 5 sticks, which he pulled out and handed to us. Egyptians broke down the door and burst into the small house. We bravely resisted the Egyptians, but there were many and we were few. I was injured, but the rest overcame. I fell unconscious. When I recovered consciousness, I looked around. The window was broken. The small house was pulled apart. Diogenes was crying. Standing in the middle of the small house near me lied my boy.
It's free real estate. way does the door open?
Doesn't